Welcome, welcome to Torah Unleashed, the teaching ministry of Olive Tree Fellowship. We want to welcome you again to Olive Tree here in Albuquerque, those of you that are in our teaching center here, those of you that are coming in through our Torah Unleashed on YouTube. Again, we want to thank each and every one of you. If you're ever passing through Albuquerque, please feel free on a Sabbath to join us here in Albuquerque at Olive Tree Fellowship. And so today we are going to continue our study in the original Mishnah Torah. The word Mishnah means repetition, to repeat. Now, I know there is a Jewish book, a post-biblical book called the Mishnah, the repetition. But those are repetitions of rabbinic injunctions, studies, different things. But the original Mishnah Torah is the book of Deuteronomy. Of course, the word Mishnah means repeat, and of course, the Torah means the instructions. So the book of Deuteronomy in Greek means the second law. Deuro, dos, two, nomos, law. Now, again, from Torah to law, they lost some stuff there, but the word Deuteronomy is the second rendering. It's actually a summary. Now, Genesis takes about average 3,000 years in history. In history. Of course, the book of Exodus and Leviticus is a 1 year time, 1 year. And the book of Numbers is 40 years. Everything that occurs in Numbers is 40 years. They go for leaving Sinai, and then they hit Kadesh Barnea, if you remember. They mess up with the spies, and then they're 40 years of nothing. We don't know what happens for 40 years. And then all of a sudden they're in Kadesh Barnea again, and it's going to Pisgah. And right now we are in Mount Pisgah with the book of Deuteronomy. The book of Deuteronomy is only about a month long. Everything in Deuteronomy is about a month long. And everything there is a summary of what happened from the time of the Exodus to coming here to Mount Pisgah, opposite of Jericho. And it's Moses' last month as he transfers power to Yehoshua, to Joshua. But it's a series of about 3 sermons that Moses gives. And today we are in the middle of the second sermon, and it is a lot of things that have to do with Israel, listen up, Shema, Shema. And Adonai calls them to listen and obey. Another word that's important in the book of Deuteronomy is the word remember. Now, what's interesting about the book of Deuteronomy is, remember, Deuteronomy is to the second generation. The first generation, they all died out. All the men died out, and there was only 2. If you remember, Yehoshua and Caleb, and Joshua and Caleb, that were the only men that crossed over. We don't know about the women, by the way. Scripture doesn't mention if any of the widows of the men that died because of their rebellion and sin, if any of them went over. We're not told that. And so at least we know that this is the second generation of men. But remember, Adonai is saying to them, listen up and remember. Listen up, remember. They're supposed to remember events that they themselves did not partake in, or might have been children and babies when these things were happening up. And the second generation crosses over. And today's study is number 46, Ekev. Say with me, Ekev. And Ekev means as a result of or as a consequence, because, or in today's language, and in the Greek, we would use the word if. It's a conditional clause. As a result of you doing this or not doing this, this will occur. If you do this or not do this, this will occur. A conditional clause. And it takes place between Deuteronomy 7:12 and chapter 11, verse 25. And so there are 9 themes in our parashah. And every week we go through the parashah and we go through all the different themes that are there. Now, of course, some of these themes I will hit a little bit more. Some of the themes I will hit a little bit less. That's why everyone on a weekly basis needs to study the parashot and more on themselves. You know, a camel has a hump. A week has a hump. Hump day is Wednesday, correct? And so this is my key to studying the Torah. From Wednesday night to Shabbat, you study next week's portion. From Wednesday night to Shabbat, study next week's portion. Anybody know what next week's portion is? Re'eh. Next week is Re'eh. So study Re'eh from Wednesday to Shabbat. And then I'll give you some meat and potatoes, and I'll give you some different things, some spices and stuff like that. And then you go home, and with what I give you on Sabbath morning, you go home and make a food. I'm not going to give you a TV dinner already for you. I'll give you some meat and potatoes, and then you cook them up at home. And then when you get home from Shabbat to Wednesday morning, you study Ekev. You study Ekev. And then Wednesday night, again, Re'eh. And so every Wednesday night, you start getting your mind ready for the coming parashah. After the parashah on Sabbath morning, then you reflect on what was said and add to your study from other things that you are studying, either commentaries or just getting into the Word. And if you do that, then you will always be ready for things that I said. If there's words that you don't know, you look them up and you're ready. But then you also reflect and meditate on what I said and what you have come up. Because while I'm teaching, every one of your minds is, it's working. And some of them might be doing some Z's, but mostly everybody's. Okay, so these are the themes of today's study. Let's see what we could come up with as we study. Now, again, V'chaya Ekev Ha Tish Merun. Now, look at this word, Tish Merun. You notice that in the middle, there's this Shin Mem Ayin. Shin Mem Ayin is what? Shema. Shema. And so it says, because, or if you Shema, if you listen up to the Mishpatim, Ha-Mishpatim. If you listen to the Mishpatim, now remember, and we're going to get a little bit into this, but the Torah is the instruction, the doctrine, the teachings of Adonai. Within Torah, there are Mishpatim, there are Hukim, and there are Idot. Now, the Mishpatim are usually, or pretty much laws, statutes, ordinances, judgments. The English Bibles use usually these 4 words in English for each one of these. But the mishpatim are usually instructions and ordinances that make sense. Don't kill. The hukim are usually, not all the time, but usually statutes, judgments that don't make sense. Like one of the prime example is the red heifer. Why mixing this and what is sometimes there's verses that are ununderstandable. We cannot understand them. They're commandments, but we don't know why. If you see a commandment and you don't know why, we do it anyway in obedience, even though we do not understand. I think it was 2 weeks ago that we went into that more. Ekev is as a result of, because, if you do this. By the way, Ekev also comes from the root, the shoresh of heel, a person's heel, the heel of your foot, which is also the shoresh or the root of Yaakov, Jacob. Ekev, like Re'eh next week, is about commandments. Commandments that have already been given. Remember, this is a summary of everything that Adonai gave us, pretty much from in Leviticus, but a summary of everything from Exodus to Numbers, pretty much. And so it's about commandments. It's things that were done. There's chronology there, history there. We're going to see that Adonai gets mad at the people. Now remember, again, this is stuff we've already learned. The Torah, is it the teaching or the law? Because again, especially in Christianity, in all the different Christianities that are out there, everybody talks about the law, and the law in the Christianities is very much negative. But the Torah in Hebraic thought is very positive. It's the instructions. Now, what are the purpose of the laws, the mishpatim, and the hukim, and the idot? What are the purpose of the laws of Torah? Remember, the Torah contains laws. Well, the purpose of them is to be blessed. And we're going to see this when we get into the verse. When we follow the mishpatim, hukim, idot, blessings come, rewards come. We are rewarded. The reason for the mishpatim and hukim are also knowledge of sin. Within there, we find this is sin. This is something that is not according to Adonai's plan for you. They also bring us into sanctification. The word sanctification means the holying of ourselves, the setting apart. When we follow the mishpatim, hukim, we are setting ourselves apart unto Adonai, from the world unto Adonai. We don't do this because that's what the world does, and I set myself from the world, but I set myself to Adonai. And all the different laws, the mishpatim, hukim, bring blessings, bring rewards, give us knowledge of what is wrong, what we should not be doing, and bring us to a set apartness. Now, I guess one of the things that we should say, now this is rabbinic and I don't agree with this, but they say there's 613 laws. I don't know if there's 613, 620, 548, anything like that. But supposedly they've counted them. And because they've been counted, one of the things that people say, you have to follow all, well, we can't. A lot of people call themselves Am Torah observant. They say we're Torah observant. We're a Torah observant congregation. Let me say, no one can be Torah observant perfectly. Nobody could be Torah observant perfect. Not even the most orthodox person, we've said. And the main reason is, first of all, we don't have a temple. We don't have a kahuna, a great kahuna. We don't have a kohanim. We don't have, there's things that even in Israel can't be followed completely. So what I say is I'm Torah based. I'm based on Torah to the point that we could follow it from a Mosaic point of view, but from a messianic and apostolic point of view. Remember, we're not based just on Moses. We're based on Yeshua, our Messiah. We're based on the apostolic. So every believer must be Mosaic, Messianic, and apostolic, bringing all three together. The Judaisms focus on Moses plus other stuff. 2 + 2 = 5. The Christianities do the same thing, but we must be 2 + 2 = 4, just what it says there. Now, what is not the purpose of the laws of the Mishpatim, Hukim? What is not their purpose? Their purpose is not salvation. Salvation cannot come by just keeping the Mishpatim and Hukim. Salvation is by grace through faith. And always remember this. Always keep this little idea in mind. Grace is Adonai reaching down his hand to us. We don't deserve it. But chesed, we mentioned the word chesed there. Chesed is this unmerited favor, this grace of Adonai. And remember, when he reaches his hand of grace, he's reaching his hand of grace to someone that doesn't deserve it. But at the same time, chesed is not just him reaching his hand to those that don't deserve it. But chesed also is Adonai not bringing judgment on that guy. In chesed, Adonai withdraws the hand of justice that we deserve, and he reaches out the hand of love that we don't deserve. Every one of us deserves this. I deserve judgment. Every one of us. There's no one here, there's none whatsoever that does not deserve justice and judgment. But Adonai in chesed goes like this and reaches out. And faith is us reaching our hand to him, and as he reaches down and we reach up and clasp hands, that's salvation. By the way, that faith is even not of ourselves, we are told. It's a gift of Adonai. So it's all about him. It's not about us. So he reaches down, we reach up in faith. And when we say faith, we're not just saying intellectual belief. We're saying action, doing something. When Adonai says to our father Abraham, Lech lecha, arise, go for yourself, get out of here, in a sense. He doesn't just say, oh, I believe what Adonai says. Oh, he's going to give me a land. He's going to give me a seed. He's going to give me a blessing. Oh, thank you for the land, seed, and the blessing. No. He took off. He started walking. Where? He didn't know where he was going. takes off to Haran, stops there for a while. His dad dies there, and Adonai says, keep on going. Where? Just keep on going. Finally, he gets to Canaan. Faith is doing something about what we're told. So these laws, mishpatim, hukim, have nothing to do with salvation. They have to do with blessings. Now watch what it says. Let's actually read that. If you listen, if you shema to these ordinances. Now over here, this translation uses the word ordinances. Some uses statutes, some laws. Again, English uses different ones. If you listen to these ordinances, be true to them. True to these mishpatim. And observe them. And in return, here's the conditional clause. In return, Yahweh your Elohim will be true to the covenant and love which he promised on oath to your ancestors. Now again, because this is conditional clause, if you listen, if you obey, if you follow these mishpatim, if you are true to them, if you observe them, in return, Adonai is going to bless you. See, here's where the blessings come in. Here's where the rewards come in. He will bless you as he promised. He will be true to the covenant. Remember, the covenant are the Aseret HaDevarim, the 10 words. That's the covenant. That's the Mosaic covenant. And he will be true to the covenant. You follow those words, those mishpatim, those mitzvot. Adonai is going to be true, and he will love you and bless you. He will increase your numbers. He will bless the fruit of your body, your children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. The produce of your soil, what you plant will grow. Your grain, your new wine, your oil, the issue of your cattle, the young of your flock, in the land that he swore to your ancestors. Remember, the ancestors are Abraham, Isaac, Yaakov. And to Abraham he says, leave your people, leave your country for a land that I will show you, a land that I will show you. Ha'eretz Israel today. That boundary, not so much the state of Israel today, that the state of Israel is in the land of Israel. And even today, Adonai wants to bless the land of Israel and the people of Israel. Adonai wants to bless so much. But today, if you keep the ordinances, again, not all could be kept. We would be exempt from some, just like women are exempt from some of the laws. Different people could be exempt from different laws depending on your place, your position, if you're a priest or not. But Adonai wants the land, that land of Israel, to be blessed and to be given, to be returned back to Israel. Returned back, the land of Israel needs to be returned back to Israel. It cannot be owned by the United Nations, or United States has no business. It is Adonai, it is Yeshua who owns the land. Yeshua owns the land. And by the way, the land not only belongs to Yeshua, but it belongs to the Israel of Elohim. It belongs to every baptized believer in Yeshua, owns the land of Israel. And when Messiah comes back, he will have complete authority over the land of Israel. You will be most blessed of all peoples, most blessed of all nations. Kol goyim, all the nations. None of you, man or woman, will be sterile. No male or female of your beast will be infertile. Yahweh will deflect, look at this, Yahweh will deflect all illness from you. He will not afflict you with those evil plagues of Egypt, which you have known, but will inflict them on all who hate you. Can you imagine if we are true to the mishpatim, true to the laws, the ordinances, then Adonai will be true to us. And he, in fact, in other verses, even in Deuteronomy, we're going to find out in a couple of weeks, he will also return us back physically to the land, return us back to Torah, which I believe he is starting to do, especially with those of us who are Sephardic Jews that are returning back to Torah from years in exile, not knowing Torah, not knowing that we were even of the tribe, not even knowing who we are. But he has made known to us. He's opened up our eyes. So now we could start returning. This is, and this congregation and you all are a work in progress. Our eyes have been opened and says, well, you know what? We've been following the ways of man for years. We need to return back to the faith of our fathers, of our ancestors, of those that have been stolen, those things that have been stolen. That's why my ministry is called here Torah Unleashed, because I want to unleash Torah, because Torah has been bound, Torah has been locked up, chained up for our people. And just finding out that, what? My ancestor was Judah Halevi? He was my ancestor. He was one of my great-grandfathers. Not knowing that, just thinking that I was this or I was that. Adonai is opening eyes throughout not only this congregation, but throughout New Mexico, throughout even the world, South America, other places, Spain. And it's time to get back. It's time to follow. Listen up. Listen up. Let's remember what we lost, what we didn't have, and come back and receive those blessings again. Again, that we said that there was these themes. Let's look at some of the themes. Deuteronomy 7:12. It's about the power of Yahweh there. Of what he will do. Shema, listen up. Blessings, promise, the population, the produce, the animal husbandry, healing. And no fear of the nations. Do not be afraid of them. In verse 17, it says, you may say in your heart, these nations outnumber me. How shall I be able to dispossess them? Do not be afraid of them. Remember how Yahweh your Elohim dealt with Pharaoh and all Egypt. Remember, he came in with Pharaoh. We left with an outstretched arm of Adonai, with a mighty hand of Adonai. He set us free. He opened the doors of our slavery, of our ancestors' slavery. He opened the doors and set us free. He could do it again. If he did it once, he's going to do it again. If he did it over there, he could actually do it in our lives today. Those things that are binding us, those things that are keeping us, all this stuff, all this sickness and disease. Let's follow Adonai. Again, we're not talking about salvation. We're talking blessings and rewards and healing. But we need to be faithful to His word. Do we get away from His word? Oh, many times, almost every day sometimes. Our flesh, the spirit is willing to follow Adonai daily, but the flesh is what? Weak. And so we have to get back. If we stray a little, let's get back. If we go this way, let's get back. Let's listen up back to His word. Let's remember what Adonai has done in the past, and He'll do it again. Again, chapter 8, beginning with verse 1 through 6, the ordeal in the wilderness. Remember what he says there. All the mishpatim, all the mitzvot I enjoin on you today, you must keep and observe, so that you may live and increase in number. So all these are conditional. Keep this, and I will bless you in this way. And then he reminds them of the 40 years. Remember, 40 years in the wilderness. And like I said, we don't know what happened in those 40 years. The book of Numbers doesn't tell us what happens in 40 years. It tells us how it started, and it tells us at the end of the 40 years that it's time to take our trek into the land of Israel. But we don't know what happened in those 40 years. But what were those 40 years for? And watch what it says right there. That he did that, number one, and this is verse 2. Remember again. In fact, I missed all kinds of remembers, but verse 2 of chapter 8. Remember how Yahweh your Elohim led you for 40 years in the wilderness. Number one, to humble you. Number two, to test you. Number three, to know your innermost heart, whether you would keep the mitzvot, the commandments, or not. And by the way, when we blow it, there's consequences sometimes. And every time there's the consequences, it humbles us. It's a test. Remember, this is just the test. Adonai wants to know our heart. He wants to know what we are made of. What are you made of? What am I made of? We're weak, but deep inside, Adonai wants to build us up to be the mighty men and women that He wants. And then, even there, He gave us, remember we complained about this and complained about that. He gave us water from the rock. He gave us water from Yeshua. And Yeshua traveled with us. He was the rock that wherever we were, all of a sudden that rock was there. We move another 2 days, that rock is there. We move again and that rock is there. Water is coming out. And Adonai gives us manna, or in Hebrew it's man. He gives us man. In English we say manna. And that's to teach us. Now this verse is so important. Watch it says, it's there to teach us that man, or mankind, does not live on bread alone, on physical bread. Yes, we need bread. That's our substance. We need physical bread to keep our physical body alive. But Adonai wants to give us a spiritual bread, spiritual nourishment, something that really gives us life. And watch what he says. Man does not live by bread alone, but by the utterance from the mouth of Elohim does man live. The utterance of the mouth of Elohim. We live by the utterance, by the word. of his mouth. Remember in the beginning, we have the Father. Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim va'et ha'aretz. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And the Ruach ha'Elohim merachefet al panai chatechom. The Spirit, the Ruach, right there at creation, the Ruach was there. And he was merachefet, he was hovering over the waters, over the deep, over the darkness. And then it says, Vayomer Elohim Yehi Or. And spoke and said, Elohim, be light, be light. And there was light. Light appeared there, everything was darkness. Las tinieblas, darkness. And all of a sudden, the utterance, that utterance of Adonai, that word was Yeshua himself. Yeshua is the word. In the beginning, Breshit Chaya Chadavarim. In the beginning was the Chadavar, the word. And the Chadavar was with Elohim. And the Chadavar was Elohim. Again, the Greek uses the word logos. The logos, the Chadavar, the word, is Yeshua. And we don't live by just physical substance. Yes, we need physical substance. We need bread, we need food. But that's not where real life comes from. Real life comes from His Word. Light, life given, and that life is Yeshua. Not only was the Word with, and the Greek, and arche enchologos proston theon. The Logos was face to face. The Chadavar was face to face with the Father. And the Chadavar was the Father, was Elohim. And then the Logos became flesh and tabernacled Sukkot, a sukkah among us. And we beheld His glory, the glory as of the only begotten Son of the Father. Yeshua is what gives life to the world. Yeshua is what gives life to each and every one of us. Without Yeshua, the Elohut, the Hebrew word for the deity or the divinity. Every religion has their names for. The word for the deity, the divinity in Hebrew is Elohut. The mightiness, the greatness, the almightiness. And in Yeshua dwelt, all the fullness, the pleroma of the Elohut is in Yeshua. And one of the things that we see here is that Yeshua, the utterance, that word that Adonai wants to give, is there for us today. I have to depend on Yeshua on a daily basis. Every one of us here. He's your life. He's your everything. The promised land, its temptations, and the land is going to be prosperous when we get into there. Moses describes it as a land flowing with milk and honey. In other words, there's a lot of goats and bees there. And He gives us the 7 kinds, the wheat, the barley, the grapevines, the figs, the pomegranates, the olive oil, the dates, all this good food. this place, this land, is the focus of Adonai. Think of it. Abraham, from Ur of the Chaldees to Haran to Canaan, this land is Adonai's place. Place of safety, place of holiness. If you follow, if you obey, if you do, I will set you there. I will bless you. I will give you all this. You don't have to worry. And after you've eaten, after you've made your full, you've eaten everything, then there you will bless Adonai. The Birkat Hamazon is the blessing after meals. And, sometimes we do a blessing before. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. But there's but also a blessing after meals, which we find over here. There's so much. The victory comes from Yahweh, not from Israel's merits. Again, Shema Yisrael, right here in chapter 9. It begins with, Shema Yisrael, today you are about to cross the Jordan to go and dispossess nations, Gentiles, Goyim, greater and stronger than yourself, to capture great cities fortified. Like the sky, up to the sky, a people great and tall, the Anakim, as you know. Who could stand up to the Anakim? Again, many people say these are descendants of the Nephilim. We saw this with the spies. They were afraid of, these are the sons of Anakim. These are those of the Nephilim, the giants, the great ones, the terrible ones. And they lived in this area, and the Anakim were here. And you don't worry about the Anakim. They might be taller, but in Adonai's sight, they are small. Because you have Adonai behind you. And then he warns us not to be prideful, not to be haughty, not to say, oh, I'm here because I did it, or this is my, I killed these, or I did this, and no. Adonai is the one who dispossesses. He takes the nations away. And by the way, there is a verse here, I don't know where it says, little by little. Oh, here it is. Watch, verse 21 of chapter 7. It says, do not be afraid of him again. For Yahweh your Elohim is among you, an Elohim who is great and terrible. Little by little, Yahweh your Elohim will destroy those nations before you. You will not be able to make an end of them at once, or the wild beasts will grow too many for you. So Adonai actually says this. You're not going to go in there and kill them all at once. It's going to be an operation, little by little. You're going to do that. And you know what's interesting too? That's the way Adonai works with us. When we're born again, all of a sudden we're not completely holy, right? It's a little by little process. Little by little. Don't worry that you're not, what's that little saying that people say? I thank Adonai. Let's see if I get it right. I thank Adonai. I'm not the man I want to be, but I thank him more that I'm not the man I used to be. Every one of us is not the person we used to be. We're not where we want to be yet, but little by little, in increments, Adonai does. He's done it through Israel. One of the problems was, by the way, and we'll see this in the book of Joshua, is that many times they gave up on Adonai And these people came back and destroyed our people, and we went to captivity. And then Adonai gives another a history lesson. Talks about the tablets of the covenant, the 40 days, and Moses breaks it because of the golden calf. We've studied that, and this is just, remember, a summary. Moses is just going back and reminding them, giving seeds of thought to the new generation that didn't know these things. And Adonai is doing a mighty, mighty work. He reminds them again of several rebellions, and the final rebellion at Kadesh Barnea, and all the generation that, because of unbelief, because of their pride, because of the rebellion, not following what Adonai says, not following the leadership of Moses and Aaron, Adonai brought judgment. Remember, Adonai wants to bless, but you have to follow it. You disobey, and curses come, and death comes. He reminds them of the Ark of the Covenant, the second tablet of stone. By the way, look at the Ark of the Covenant there. The Ark of the Covenant is a box, and it has a lid. What is called the mercy seat on top is a lid, and you slide it there, and they put the tablets there, Aaron's rod that budded, and a jar of manna, and they were stored in there. It was a storage box. And then the lid was replaced, and then once a year, the kahuna would go in there, and he would put the blood of the goat in between the two cherubs there, and would bring atonement to himself, and through that to Israel. He reminds them of Aaron's death, and the tribe of Levi, again, is set apart for ministry. Again, these are all reminders. Now, we'll close with this. One of the things that Adonai talks about is circumcision of the heart. This is the requirement of Yahweh for believers. Every one of us who believes, these are requirements. Number one, we need to fear Adonai. Not in a fear that we are afraid of him, but a respect. We need to have a respect of him, knowing that he's an Elohim that blesses, but he's an Elohim that judges. He's an Elohim that has consequences for our actions. Now, yes, he will discipline, but he will never punish. There's a difference between the discipline of Adonai, his correction, and all of a sudden punishing you just for doing bad. His correction will always lead us to better. Of course, punishment, if you just punish people without understanding, they'll rebel. We don't want that. We don't do that in our family, with our kids. Yes, we discipline them, but we don't punish them. And that's something that needs to be clarified in our lives. But we need to follow his ways, Haderech. Haderech is the way, the road of Adonai. By the way, that's the biblical name of the New Covenant congregations, and the New Covenant body of Messiah is called Haderech, the way. We need to love him. We need to serve him with all our heart, soul, keep his commandments. Yahweh owns everything. He chose Israel. By the way, not only did he choose Israel as his prized possession, but anyone who repents from their paganism, from their ways, and is baptized, is immersed, repents and immersed, he is grafted into the olive tree of Israel and becomes as Israel. You who were Gentiles, you who were without Elohim, you were separated from the commonwealth of Israel, without hope, without Elohim. But now in Yeshua Messiah, you that were far away have been brought nigh by the blood of Yeshua. It is the blood of Yeshua that gets anyone who is from the nations to be cut off. Cut off. Remember, you got to cut off. You can't be of the nations and of the olive tree of Israel. That's a dead tree. That is a wild olive. We don't want that. That's going to produce no fruit. You have to be by the blood of Yeshua in the olive tree of Israel. And then you are part of Israel. And by the way, the cut off branches of Israel, that pile of cut off branches, yeah, they were part of Israel, but they're not part of Israel now. Someone from the nations who has repented and is grafted in to the olive tree of Israel is more Israel than someone that was born as Israel, who by unbelief, according to Jeremiah 11, 15, and 16, and Romans 11, 15, and 16, has been cut off and is part of these branches that Jeremiah says they're goners, they're going to be burnt because of their unbelief. Then Adonai says we need to circumcise our hearts. All the flesh around our heart, all that flesh that is there has to be cut off. Again, Jeremiah 4, Romans 2:25. Go home and study that. Study that for this week. Adonai wants to cut all flesh off. In fact, in Galatians, it talks about the works of the flesh. The fruit of the Spirit, the works of the flesh. All those works of the flesh in Galatians 5 needs to be cut off. Let's go ahead and stand. Father, I thank you for the opportunity that we have to just present, Father, some things here to your people, some meat, potatoes, some vegetables, so that they could go home, Father, and study. And Father, there's so much. In the name of Yeshua, we give you honor, glory, and we give you praise, Father, for what you're going to do even today, Father. Shalom, shalom. Yeverechecha Yahweh va'ish merecha. Air Yahweh panav elecha bichunecha. Asa Yahweh panav elecha vayasem lecha. Shalom. May Yahweh bless you, keep you. May Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May Yahweh lift up the light of his countenance upon you and give you his peace. Shalom, shalom. Amen and amen.
Shalom, shalom. Welcome to Olive Tree Fellowship and Torah Unleashed Ministries. Thank you for joining us on our channel. If you have enjoyed this teaching and would like to see more, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click the notification bell so that you can be notified when we have new videos. If you would like to support Olive Tree Fellowship and Torah Unleashed Ministries, please visit us at olivetreefellowship.com or torahunleashed.org. We thank you for your past support and hope to continue with you. Shalom, shalom. Have a good day. Shalom, shalom y bienvenidos a Olive Tree y a la Torah Desatada. Les doy gracias a ustedes y a Adonai por su apoyo que nos han dado aquí. Y si quieren continuar a hacer una donación, pueden ir aquí en torahunleashed.org o en olivetreefellowship.com y ahí pueden dar una donación. Su apoyo, su ayuda es importante en estos días. Shalom, shalom.